Okay, what if you could totally master first impressions? Like, what if you could create an instant connection with anyone, build trust, and open the door to real influence, all in just a few seconds? It's not magic, it's actually a skill, and we're going to break it all down right now. I want you to think about the last time you met someone really important. That first moment, it probably felt a little random, right? Kind of like it was just up to chance. But what if it wasn't? What if those first few seconds are actually a silent, super high-stakes test, one that basically determines the entire future of that relationship?
You see, the smartest people in any room, they get this. They've totally mastered this tiny little window of time because they know it's the foundation for everything that comes next. The real secret isn't about what you do during some big opportunity. It's all about being prepared long before it even shows up.
And trust me, that clock is ticking way faster than you think. You've got maybe 10, 20 seconds at most to make a positive connection. I mean, in the time it takes to tie your shoes, someone has already formed a pretty permanent judgment about you. So the real question becomes, how do you make every single one of those seconds count?
But here's the problem. Most of us make a really critical error in how we prepare. It's a mistake that is so common, and there's a perfect analogy for it. It's called the swimmer's mistake, and it explains exactly why just winging it is a total recipe for failure.
I mean, it sounds completely absurd when you say it out loud, right? Waiting until you're already drowning to schedule your very first swimming lesson. And yet, that's exactly what most of us do in conversations. We just jump headfirst into a high-stakes interaction, and only then do we try to figure out how to swim. Okay, so if that's the big problem, what's the solution? Well, the good news is you don't need some complex, fancy script. Nope. It all comes down to a super simple forward tool that can completely transform how you start literally any conversation. And that, of course, leads to the big question. What is this phrase? What are these magical 4 words you can say that will immediately disarm someone, invite them into a conversation, and make the whole thing, well, pretty much rejection-free? Okay, here it is. 4 simple words. I am just curious. That's it. That's the key. Starting any question you have with this little phrase, it fundamentally changes how the other person receives it. It's kind of like the conversational version of offering a friendly handshake instead of pointing a finger.
All right, so let's dig into the psychology of why this actually works. I mean, why are these 4 words so ridiculously powerful? It's not just about being polite. This phrase taps into some really deep-seated programming in the human brain.
Okay, so the moment someone hears you say, I am just curious, it's like a switch gets flipped in their brain. The signal is crystal clear. Hey, this isn't a demand, this isn't a challenge, this is just a safe invitation. And that instantly triggers this internal response to open up, to share, and even to want to help you. So, let's really break down this hidden power, okay? First, you're signaling curiosity, not a threat, so it feels completely non-confrontational. Their defenses just drop. And all of a sudden, the conversation isn't an interrogation. It feels like you're collaborating. And because of that, this subtle social switch gets flipped. We humans, we feel this little obligation to help someone who seems genuinely curious. It's so effective. This all builds to a much bigger idea. Using this phrase isn't just a little tactic, it's a fundamental shift in your entire philosophy. It's about putting rapport way before the presentation. I mean, just think about it. What if the human connection you build in the first minute is actually more powerful than any fancy slide deck you could ever prepare?
Seriously, think about your best friends. When you share an idea with them, you don't give them a perfect PowerPoint presentation, right? It might be messy, maybe a little disorganized, but they listen because they trust you. They buy into you first and the idea second. That is the power of rapport. And your goal is to create just a tiny spark of that same trust instantly.
So this really leaves you with 2 paths to go down. The first path is leading with rapport, connecting with gut feelings, building trust, and just keeping things easy and natural. The other path, leading with a presentation, relying on a ton of jargon and complex details that, let's be honest, often feel really forced. And at the end of the day, people make decisions based on feeling, based on whether or not they trust you. And this right here, this is the single most important takeaway from all of this. You have to connect with the feeling first, and then the logic will follow. Once you've built that little foundation of trust, then their mind will be open to your logic and all your data, but not a second before. So I want you to think about your next important meeting, or your next big pitch, or heck, even just the next new person you meet. What could change? What would be different if you decided to lead not with a perfect presentation, but with simple, genuine curiosity?